Welcome to the Nest Podcast, your weekly home for sports news, video game reviews, and hot takes with your hosts, Brandon, Zach, and Justin. Enjoy the show.
What is up, guys? Welcome to an episode of the Nest Podcast. This is number 98. That is the Tony the Goose Saragusa episode presented by Sportszilla. I'm your host, Brandon. Joining me is my co-host of almost 2 years now, Zach. What's up, Zach? How you doing, man?
Good. How you doing?
Good. 2 years. Can you believe that's coming up? It's what? August, I think, is whenever we hit the mark.
Yeah. It's crazy to think about, honestly.
And we haven't missed a show yet. We've been consistent every week, week in, week out. Haven't missed a show. Hasn't always been the three of us. Of course, it started out with just us.
Yep.
Yeah, so this is kind of old school style episode for us, but nonetheless, we'll get through it and we'll get one step closer to 100 and one step closer to our 2-year anniversary, 2-year podcast anniversary. And I don't know, maybe we'll sprinkle in some giveaways or something like we did last year.
Definitely.
All right. So what's been going on, man? COVID is still in the news. Like,
yeah, and now it's finally affecting the NFL.
And potentially impacting the NBA again, MLB again. We can't win for losing with this thing.
No.
Yet all of us were still going to work.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I don't think they're going to do another quarantine. I mean, maybe if just people just can't stay healthy, maybe, but I don't think they're just going to pull the trigger on another one because I mean, the last one was pretty tough on a lot of things. So I think a lot of governors will be pretty gun shy to try that again.
Yeah, I do too. I think it was an experiment. They tried it. Maybe not necessarily the best idea, but at the same time, with the amount of people in this country that are eligible to work from home, companies should be finding ways to make sure that that's what they're doing.
Oh yeah, for sure. Pretty much anyone that does any type of office job or a job where you're on the computer, you can do that from home.
Yep, absolutely. I understand even maybe going into the office once, maybe twice a week or whatever. But if the bulk of your work is literally sitting at a desk on a computer, there's no reason for you to be going and just forcing to be around people or whatever.
Right. And then a lot of places you got to wear a mask and you got to do this, that, and the other. And that sucks.
So how's that going to work for a sport like football?
There's no getting around it. It's a contact sport. I mean, people have to be next to each other. So honestly, I think some sort of outbreak is almost inevitable.
Well, last week we already talked about Zeke and several of the Cowboys and some of the Texans had come down with it. Now the NFL is reporting that a third of the NFL teams have had some sort of outbreak, whether it be a player or a team manager or a team doctor or somebody within the organization that is tested positive. A third of the teams. That's getting pretty big. At what point does the commissioner step in, or at what point does the owner say, hey, we're not doing this. We're not even going to go down this road.
And what's funny is a while back, someone from the NFL said that it's 100% on. We're doing it. We're whatever, because in their minds, their season doesn't start till late August. So they were thinking this stuff's going to be over. NFL is going to be clear. All of the other leagues are going to be, having to deal with it. But that's not the case. We're in almost July and it's still headline news. People are still getting it. I think a lot of places are setting records for the number of positive tests. I know Florida did the other day, so it's not over.
Yeah, the day that I sent you the news article about Florida breaking it, they broke it again the very next day. So it just tells you that number is climbing rapidly. But if the season's delayed, the NFL does kind of have a little bit of a buffer. They plan to move the first 4 games of the season into January, when they normally have gaps in time between the end of the playoffs and the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to cram some games in there, and just, I guess that would push out the Super Bowl and the playoffs into February, maybe trickle into early March. If that's the worst case scenario for the NFL, then that's a pretty damn good outcome. But I mean, who's to say that once it starts getting colder again, these cold weather cities, they start getting worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, that's what my thinking is. If you look at the flu season, it's during the cold months. That's when everybody gets sick. I don't see this to be any different. I mean, what's interesting though is that there wasn't a downward slope when it started getting real hot, which I kind of thought it was going to. I don't know if like the experts thought that way, but I kind of figured in the heat the virus wouldn't do so well. But
I mean, we're seeing record highs in June. So
yeah, and I wonder if that's more because people are traveling again. A lot of people don't want to wear masks. So I don't know. And I wonder if the high numbers in Florida are due to people going on their vacations. They're saying, screw it. We paid for it. We're going.
I have a feeling that a lot of that is the case, because it seems like from local news, a lot of the outbreaks are happening at beach bars, places, that would be frequented by tourists.
Yeah.
And just locals that want to go out and party, I guess. But
Sure.
do you? But and that's the thing. Like, most of the issues with Florida has been from tourists.
Oh yeah. For sure.
Early on, it was reported heavily that it was from tourists from New York and Louisiana specifically. And I was thinking, that's pretty weird that you guys are being so statist about it. Because it's like, wow, you're trying to outlaw people from Louisiana, and this was back in like March, and now it's open borders in Florida, and we're having record cases daily. It's fun. But to get back on topic, I don't want to sit here and just talk about Florida's coronavirus, because I hear about that every day. What I do want to keep talking about is Kaepernick. I love that Kaepernick is in the news. I love that he's been rumored to be getting tryouts with the LA Chargers. I even hear that the Eagles are interested in the guy. So any way that he gets in the league, I think that would be a good push for the NFL, and a step in the right direction for them to publicly right the wrong that they made.
Yeah, I think the Chargers are a great fit. I mean, clearly they don't have an answer to their quarterback situation. I don't believe that they drafted anybody, at least at the quarterback position.
They did. Hubbard, the kid from out west somewhere, Oregon, Washington, one of those, California, one of those schools.
Sure. Well, they really don't have anything to lose at this point, so I think that'd be a good fit for him.
Tyrod Taylor's been slotted in as the de facto starter for the season. So, I mean, I think Cap could come in there and at least make it interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
We haven't seen him play in years, but if you look at what he did in his tryout a year ago, he was able to throw the deep ball. He hit a pass that was 60 yards in the highlight reel that they showed. He was able to hit quick slants. He had a good quick release. Yeah, he didn't have anybody blitzing him. Yeah, he didn't have that, but it wasn't designed for that.
Right.
It was designed to see if his arm was still good, and it was.
Yeah. I mean, if people, which they do, judge the draftees on their combine, then what's the difference? The combine is almost the same thing. You're throwing the ball to wide open people. You're running a 40-yard dash. You're lifting weights. That doesn't mean anything on the actual football field, but people take those stats into consideration. So it's basically the same thing. And I think he may or may not need some time to get used to it again. But I think after a couple weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, maybe that's probably enough time for him to, okay, this is what it feels like to get rushed again.
Yeah. And you'll get that during practice. You'll get that during training camp because you'll be out there against the team's number one defense, most likely, because he'll be in that backup role. So he'll get to see real NFL speed during practice.
Yeah.
He won't be getting hit, but he'll get to see him coming at him.
Sure. I don't think you need to practice getting hit. You know what I mean? That's just
Well,
further chance of injury.
I mean, yeah, that does increase the chance of injury and all, but you do want to get that hit so that you know what it feels like again.
Good point.
After you've been gone for so long, you kind of forget what it's like to get popped.
Right.
And once you take that first one and you realize, okay, I took it, I'm not going to break.
Yeah.
Then it's gravy. Then it's good to go again.
Yeah.
It's just like getting back on the mats again for jiu-jitsu. It's like it's been a while since I've been out there, but as soon as you get out there and you start going and you catch a sub or something like that, it's like, okay, I'm back into it. I've got that bug again and I'm good. Mm-hmm. Let's do this shit.
I wonder how many more teams are going to have that third quarterback, like we talked about, where they're completely isolated from the rest of the team.
It would be interesting because I mentioned the Eagles as one of the teams that are rumored to be interested in Cap. They also just drafted my man, Jalen Hurts. So could they be toying with that very idea of having 3 quarterbacks on the roster in case something happens?
Yeah.
Philly's a big city.
Definitely.
Cold weather city, prone to sickness and outbreak in the wintertime for the flu and things like that anyway.
Yep. Now, one thing that I haven't necessarily heard much of is are NFL teams still going to do all the travel that they do?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. I would imagine you would have to, because in the NFL, there are only, so many teams that these guys even play unless they dramatically realign conferences and divisions.
And a lot of divisions are already, geographically located, like more or less NFC South is the southern part of the US, you know what I mean? So,
yeah, but then you've got like the AFC East where it's the New England Patriots and the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, that's strange. So I wonder if they're going to do something where they kind of restructure like the MLB was going to do, and they restructure their divisions to it's all just geographically based, because I think that the big threat for the NFL to have an outbreak is all that traveling. I mean, if the Chargers have to travel to the other side of the US, I mean, they're going to be on a plane, they're going to be in hotel rooms. It's just furthers all the chances for exposure. You know what I mean?
I get the point about the hotel rooms, but brother, these guys aren't going to Delta and hopping on a commercial flight. They've got their own team flights. Yeah, they don't fly like us.
That's a good point.
They fly into private airports. That they're not like us.
Right.
But the hotels, that I will agree with, that is one where they would be more, I guess, exposed.
Yeah. And are they going to do something like the NHL where the players aren't allowed to leave the hotel? Are they going to incite something like that? And are players even going to abide by it? Because obviously Zeke has been going out and doing whatever. So.
Well, yeah, but they're not in season yet. So he's still technically in his off season.
Sure.
Anywhere he can go within the law. I mean, the Cowboys can't stop him.
Sure. Unless they write up some new contract or something.
Right. But then that would require him signing, and the Cowboys aren't having the best of luck getting guys to sign contracts these days.
Yeah. No shit.
So have you been keeping up with the Dak news lately?
A little bit.
He's expected to sign. I don't know if he has or not yet, but he was expected to sign today, I think, his franchise tag tenure, which I'm sure that is with a very, very reluctant pen because he's wanting to hold out for that mega contract that would pay him somewhere in the neighborhood of $40 million a year. I think Jerry has talked him into signing this franchise tag or holding out long enough because he might have his eyes on this safety for the Jets, Jamal Adams, who is openly expressing that he wants out of New York and wants very specifically to go to the Dallas Cowboys. So I think Jerry might be like, hey there, Dak, go ahead and sign that. We'll pay you whatever this year. Let's save that money, go spend it on Jamal Adams, bring him in here so we can have us a Super Bowl winning defense. And then we can have us a Super Bowl winning offense and a Super Bowl winning defense. Yep. We can go try to win a Super Bowl. Woo!
Yep.
So that's how Jerry Jones talks in my head, by the way.
I get it. Now, I didn't think that franchise deals were 1 year. I mean, I guess
franchise tag is a year-to-year basis.
Is it? Okay.
And it pays him an average of the top 5 at that position. And for a quarterback, it happens to be somewhere in the neighborhood of like 31.5, 32, somewhere in there, $1 million a year.
Man.
Yeah, it's a hard life.
It's a shame that Dak won't be able to feed his family on that. I really feel for the guy.
I mean, it's hard out there. You know, ramen, the price of ramen, it's gone up to like, what, 27 cents a pack now? It's crazy.
Yeah. And I'm sure it's hard to find now because of COVID. Everyone's hoarding food.
And toilet paper still, apparently. No, but it is crazy. But the thing with Adams, though, that's what really piques my interest, because I think if Dak signs this franchise tag and becomes a free agent at the end of the year, he might be gone from Dallas.
Yeah.
Even if they win a Super Bowl, well, that would definitely make him want to stay probably, but I can see him being like, deuces, I'm going to go to whoever will pay me, because some team out there will pony up the money for Dak.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think either the Cowboys are going to pay him whatever he wants, or he's going to walk. This final deal with them is going to be the end of it, because either he's going to do great and that's going to just boost his ego, thinking that he's the shit, or he's going to suck and the Cowboys are going to be like, thank God we didn't give you all that money so that you can suck. Here's the keys to the fucking stadium, Andy Dalton. And they're going to move on from Dak, or they're going to pay him. It's going to be one of those. Like, there's no way that he's going to stay and not get mega paid.
Now, can you imagine a scenario where after this season, somebody like Cam Newton is also available on a big contract that you could bring in, and you can get him for significantly cheaper than you could Dak?
Yep.
Could Jerry Jones just be like, okay, I'll take you instead? Plug and play.
Yep, for sure.
Because I think ultimately that's what the Dallas Cowboys quarterback job is a plug and play job, because the talent is Ezekiel Elliott. The talent is Amari Cooper. The talent is
Gallup.
The Gallup, and the new kid that they just drafted, Lamb. Yeah. Lamb is phenomenal, and he's going to be a stud in the league.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah, I completely agree. I can't even remember who the quarterback was before Dak.
It was Tony Romo.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. So everyone thought, not everyone, but he had a following, if you will, that thought he was the answer. Clearly didn't do shit. And Dak came in, tore it up 1 year, and now he thinks he's the shit. So I think it's very plug and play there. And if Jerry Jones knows what's good for him, he will not give this kid more than franchise tag. So we'll see what happens after this year.
Yeah, I could definitely see a big time situation brewing in Dallas where it blows up because they've overspent at too many places. We've talked about it time and time again, how all these guys getting big time deals eventually it's going to blow up in your face. You can't pay the linemen what they need to get paid to protect these guys, to give you time to throw to these guys.
Yep. Zeke needs a line too. I mean, you can be the greatest running back in the world, and you got to have somebody block for you.
Oh, and he's a hoss. Zeke is a hoss, and he will break tackles, and he will get through a lot of people. But at the same time, he's going to get stopped.
Yeah,
a lot. You know,
it's
just these guys are professional football players. They're professional tacklers. Guys like Aaron Donald, they're not going to just let you go.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, very interesting situation there in Dallas. It's been the focal point of the NFL for this whole scenario. I mean, back when Zeke held out and no one knew whether or not he was going to get paid. I think that was the right decision to pay him, though, because he clearly has much more talent than Dak.
Yeah. I mean, you could say that.
So
we'll see. I think Dak, he's not long for Dallas. I think actually the guy that's going to come and fill the shoes in Dallas next year most likely will be Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Because
I could see him not being happy.
And if Jordan Love makes any kind of noise, they'll move on. Aaron Rodgers, I've been saying it for 2 years now that we've been on this podcast, that Aaron Rodgers is overrated. Aaron Rodgers is not the best quarterback in the NFL like a lot of people have been thinking for the past decade. He's not. He's good, yes, but he's not the greatest out there. And he's also getting older.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he's 36.
Yeah, he's getting up there. You know, everybody thinks like the new thing is to be 40 and still be winning Super Bowls.
How many quarterbacks do that, though? 4?
One has done that.
Yeah. You've got Tom Brady, obviously. You got Drew Brees.
But they haven't won Super Bowls.
Exactly. They're playing, yes.
Is that what you want? Is that what you want out of your quarterback, is for a guy to just get you to the playoffs every year? If so, then by all means, keep backing Aaron Rodgers.
Yep.
Because that's what he'll do. He'll get you to the playoffs. That's it. That's all he and the Packers do. And You know what? I don't care if we catch heat for saying it, because it's time people start to realize that Aaron Rodgers isn't the shit.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he won the one Super Bowl. It was 10 years ago now. And he's not sucked. Like you said, he's good, but I don't know what it is about him that people just think he's just top tier. He can throw a football. Sure.
That's it. Yep. He throws a football and he throws it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's a quarterback. That's what quarterbacks are supposed to do, is throw a football.
Yep. The one thing that he has in his defense, I would say, is that the Packers have never drafted a skilled position player the whole time he was there.
Which that is insane to me, because
it really is.
If the world thought that he was so good, ESPN and all the talking heads that you see on there, if they all thought that he was so good, why didn't his team see that he needed good players to go with him? Maybe they didn't value him as highly as everybody else did. Maybe they thought the reason that his numbers are so high is because our defense sucks and he has to throw that many yards. He has to throw for that many touchdowns. Eddie Lacy is a fat fuck that he can't stay fit.
Yeah.
So you know what?
They got about 2 good years out of him, and then he shit his pants. I don't know. I don't get that either.
All I know is, for fantasy, here's some free fantasy advice for you. I stay away from Green Bay Packers.
Yeah. No shit.
I mean, Aaron Rodgers will put up good numbers in fantasy sometimes.
Right.
But it's pretty much mediocre. He'll hit 20, 25. That's about average. Baker Mayfield does the same.
Right. Maybe 5-6 years ago, Jordy Nelson would have been a pretty good pick, but
yeah, not anymore.
There's no wide receiver in Green Bay that is worth going for.
the thing with Jordy was that it was either all or nothing with him.
Yeah.
Because he would either catch like a 50-yard touchdown or he wouldn't catch anything. Yeah. It's wild. That guy had a really interesting career. He's not interested in coming back. The Packers asked him if he wanted to come back and play with Aaron Rodgers again. He's like, "Nah, Holmes, I'm good."
Yeah.
He's like, I checked out on that.
And he even went off and played for the Raiders to get away from Green Bay. I mean, clearly you weren't going anywhere with that team. So he said, fuck it. It's better than where I'm at now.
I mean, in his defense, the Raiders did do pretty well in Aaron Carr's first season there.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were looking strong, and then he got injured, broke his leg right before Aaron Carr. Yeah. Broke his leg right before the playoffs, and then they got steamrolled by the Patriots in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's right.
Because I remember thinking like, oh man, the Raiders are looking pretty good. Like that's going to be a pretty tough matchup for the Patriots in the playoffs. And then the game before, like week 16, week 17 or whatever, broke his leg.
Yep. Injuries in the NFL just change everything.
And, I'm pretty sure that was one of the years that the Pats went on to win the Super Bowl. And had it not been for that injury,
yep,
who knows? But Zach, let's talk a minute about the beard struggle. If you've ever tried to grow a beard, then you know the struggle, and we can help you out. The beard struggle has tapped into centuries of Viking knowledge to inspire beard growth and overall health. Tap into your inner Viking with some of the great beard products available at thebeardstruggle.com. The ultimate kit is what I'm using, and it is awesome, guys. It comes with everything that you're going to need to get your man-made on point. You're going to get the day and night liquid elixir oils. These things smell great. They make your beard soft. They're phenomenal. Then you're also going to get the beard wax and the scruff wax. One is for when you're starting to grow your beard out so that you can kind of get it to all the hairs to grow in the right direction. It makes your skin respond to trying to grow a beard. And then you've got the gentleman's beard wax for whenever you have the beard and you're ready to rock and roll. It comes with shampoos, conditioners. Guys, if you use our promo code NEST20, save 20% at thebeardstruggle.com. Check them out. Zach, yeah, it's real good stuff. Zach, so the NFL may be at a stopping point because of this coronavirus thing before it even got started. But NCAA has signaled that they're going to go ahead with it.
For now, we'll see.
I mean,
everything is up in the air.
They've kicked off their plans to have their 2020 season and start it on schedule. And everything is basically at the discretion of state governors, is what they're saying.
Interesting.
So as long as the governors of those states, and we talked about it earlier, as long as those governors keep states open and we don't think they're going to be urgent to rush to another quarantine, NCAA says it's going to happen. So it'll be interesting to see if that happens. I mean, NCAA is also the same governing body that canceled March Madness abruptly.
Yep.
So
yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how everything plays out. Come September, what sports are going to be going on. It's all up in the air. I think a lot of these organizations are saying that everything's going because they desperately need it to and want it to so they can make their revenue. But I think a coronavirus outbreak, it could shut it all down.
The Texas Longhorns have already reported outbreaks on their campus and among their team. So if they happen to play Oklahoma then plays Alabama, next thing you know, the top teams are all reporting these cases on campuses and amongst their star players.
Oh yeah.
I mean, yeah, it could suck, but what if it is one of those things that we're like, we have to just deal with it. Next man up.
Yeah, because they have deep rosters. They've got
Right.
freshmen and whoever the hell else is sitting there.
They'll be pulling guys red shirts to get them on there.
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
Come on, boy, you got to play.
Yep, definitely. Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how everything plays out, because at least in my mind, not very many people have a decent opinion of the NCAA, and how terrible would it be for their PR to have coronavirus outbreaks throughout their sports. I don't know if they're going to try to take the high ground or if they're just going to say, we're doing it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you've got in the aftermath of everything that's been going on in their country and even in the world with the Black Lives Matter movement and all that stuff, a lot of these universities have been looking favorable. But do you want to come back and look so bad with your response to this pandemic that's still ongoing, that never stopped?
Yeah, that's insane.
But I mean, like I mentioned, a lot of these schools are in good light right now because of what they're doing. And I think it is worth noting, like, schools like the University of Florida here in Gainesville, they have a famous chant, the Gator Bait chant. The president of the school and the president of their athletic association, all that came out and said, we're not doing that anymore, because it was brought up and brought to the attention that it had deeply racist origins. So they immediately put a stop to that and said, no, our fans will not be doing that anymore, because that's not tolerated here.
Nice.
Jeremy Pruitt, the head coach of the University of Tennessee, he made it a point to use his platform to speak out. He's like, hey, I'm in a place to where I have a lot of voices that hear me. So he spoke out and said what he had to say, and said that he wanted to help create that kind of culture at the University of Tennessee. The SEC is petitioning the state of Mississippi to change their state flag.
Yeah, I saw that.
So
something about they won't be allowed in tournaments or something until it's changed, or they won't be doing anything in Mississippi until it's changed.
I think they were saying that they will have no athletic activities held in that state.
That's pretty big.
That's huge. That takes
you've got Old Miss,
Mississippi State.
Ole Miss is probably their biggest college, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, crazy.
And Mississippi State also is in the SEC, so right. That's two SEC schools, and then I know there are numerous other colleges in Mississippi that would be affected by that might not make a Sweet 16 because of it.
Mm-hmm.
That would suck for them. But if the SEC has as much leverage as I think that they do, especially in the South, that'll probably make it change.
Oh yeah, I would agree. I would say that the revenue that those colleges generate for their states can't be matched, especially in some place like Mississippi. I can't imagine that their tourism is very big, but I think that those SEC schools draw people to not only attend the school, but to watch games and come out and support the teams and stuff like that. And they can't be losing out on that. So
yeah,
in my mind, I would imagine that a change would be coming soon.
Yeah. In this case, ultimately the money is going to be the persuasive thing for good to make them get rid of it so that they can get back in on that NCAA tip.
Oh yeah.
Because that's seriously, that probably keeps those towns afloat.
100%.
That revenue that the NCAA pumps in there.
100%. Yeah.
Oh, what's up to our homie? He's finally getting on here live.
Nice.
Yeah. Welcome to the show. We're here every Monday night.
Yep.
Zach, we talked a little bit about how the Cowboys were at their breaking point with all this stuff, but UFC fighters have been at their breaking point for a long time. And most recently, a huge name decided that she might be walking away from the sport. Did you see that? Do you know who I'm talking about?
Not off the top of my head.
Amanda Nunes.
Oh, wow.
And Dana White's shocked response, much like yours, said, "I'll kill her."
Yeah. He's not lying either. That's his only cash cow at the moment.
That is a huge cash cow, but she's probably not getting paid what she's worth either.
Well, and what else does she have to do? I mean, she's got 2 belts. There is 0 competition in both of those divisions. She's cleaned house. What else is there to do?
Dana said that he is making plans to build a division for her. And to that, I say, Dana White, you're late. You should have been trying to get this division not only being built for Amanda, but just built in general.
Yep.
Because UFC fight fans like exciting fights. We want to see good fights. We don't just want to see whatever women you found on a weekend in Vegas to come and sign professional contracts and be your fighting stable of women. I would want to see badass fights. We've talked about that Weili Chang and JJ fight several times because that was a phenomenal fight.
Mm-hmm.
Not because it was just 2 girls fighting, but it was a great fight.
Yeah.
And I want to see Amanda in great fights.
Yeah. I think the decline of Ronda really took him by surprise, and I don't think he was ready for it.
I don't think it was even a decline of Ronda. I think it was just an ascension of other people.
Sure. But I think obviously she was the women's MMA megastar, and she just, I mean, 2 losses and it was over. And they did a terrible job of promoting Amanda. It was always, she's the champ, and that's it. Like, no one gave a shit from the UFC side. And now that she's still the champ, she's beaten Cyborg, she's beaten everybody. They're like, oh, okay, we have a superstar here. And now she's like, you know what? I'm not feeling it. And now he's screwed because Conor doesn't seem to be fighting. You've got Khabib, who's probably not leaving Russia. So
no time soon anyway.
Yeah, he's screwed at the moment. A lot of these fighters are upset about their contracts, and he's got to make a shitload of fights because I think I've mentioned it before. They have some sort of deal with ESPN. I can't remember the number, but they have to make a specific amount of fights every year with their ESPN deal, which is why you're seeing all these fights back to back to back to back, because they had to take that big break for COVID, and now they've got to make up for it.
Yep.
And I don't think he's selling pay-per-views like he wants.
My wife the other night was like, do they just have fights every weekend now? I was like, yeah, pretty much. They're not always good ones like this past weekend, but
yeah.
But there was some controversy that came up from this past weekend. Did you catch any of that?
I caught people saying that Curtis Blades did something that they didn't like.
I heard not necessarily that one. I heard there was something about a fighter that wanted to quit his fight.
Yes, I heard that too.
Yeah, he, like, I guess after 2 rounds of getting his ass beat in his UFC debut, he was like, yeah, no mas. And his corner was like, nah, you're still going to go back in there and fight. You're still good. You're still good. And then he was like, nah, I'm not good. And he went and told an official, or I guess the ref or whatever. And that's when the fight got stopped.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how do you feel about that? Like, does that make you feel like he just definitely doesn't belong there, or that he made a bitch move, or that maybe he made a smart decision and that his corner should be the one that should be looked at?
Yeah, that's a tough one, because I think from the coach's standpoint, from what I saw, they were trying to give him a test. They wanted him to see if he could push through. And he was saying, I don't have a chance. I'm just getting my ass kicked out here. And I think he asked something like 9 times for them to throw in the towel, and they just wouldn't do it. And I think maybe if a guy is not losing too terribly, because I don't think he was like too terribly hurt. At least I didn't see he was too terribly hurt. Maybe just try to have him push through. But after so many times, clearly he has no will to fight or to try. So you just at a certain point, you just have to give in and say, okay, this is your fight. It's over. I can see both sides, but at the end of the day, after a certain number of times asking, you got to say, all right, it's your call.
Yeah. I think, like maybe after he come to the corner and he was saying like, oh, I don't know if I can go again. Give him that 30 seconds, 45 seconds, collect his thoughts. But if he's still saying like, no, I don't want to go, then his will to fight has been broken.
Yes.
You don't need to send him out there for that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems pointless, almost as pointless as it is for the Major League Baseball and the Players Association to keep talking.
Yeah. It's honestly annoying at this point. Whenever you see a new article saying that the owners have given this to the players and nothing comes of it, I'm sick of seeing the damn articles at this point. Either tell me it's on or tell me that it's off, because clearly the two sides aren't negotiating, and they haven't been for months.
No, I mean they have been. We're getting somewhere because sides have yielded, but the main sticking point has and is the money. The players want to get a full prorated salary like they were promised back in March, and the owners don't want to give it. The owners keep wanting to take it away little bits at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And in the most recent proposal from the owners, I guess that's the offer that they are standing firm with. They proposed that it would be 60 games, expanded postseason for 2020 and 2021, DH in both leagues for both years, and MLB also put in there that they would put 10 million for social justice programs. So they I guess gave that little
right.
But
we're good.
The player said, nah, that's not good enough. We want more games. We want to play more games, which quickly was met with a rejection. And it was formally rejected and all that stuff and put to a vote today. And I guess the vote will send it to Manfred to make his decision. So we'll see what happens in the next few hours or whatever. I'm sure there'll be an announcement from Major League Baseball. And then subsequently, I think we'll see a bunch of owners say, we're withdrawing from this season.
Oh, yeah.
And then they'll say, okay, the 2020 season is now officially canceled.
Yeah. That's what I think too. I think it's almost inevitable at this point. The owners simply are not going to pay the players what, like you said, what they initially said they were going to do in March. They realized that they screwed up, and they realize that they won't be making any money off of the games. It'll simply just be having to pay, and they're not down for that. And it's not going to happen. Didn't you say they only need like 8 owners or something to opt out?
Yep. If 8 owners decide that they don't want to play this year, then they're not playing. The whole league shuts down. And last I heard, there were already 6 confirmed that didn't want to.
How many teams are there?
30.
You could easily find 15 to 20 owners that will say no.
Oh yeah. I think that's coming very, very soon whenever Manfred decides that he's going to impose whatever it is that he's going to impose. I think you see the owners immediately start saying we're not playing. And then on the flip side, I also think you see players say, well, we're not playing.
Right.
Certain high risk players might decide to sit out. Guys like Garrett Cole and Mike Trout both have pregnant wives at home.
Yep.
I don't think they necessarily want to jump in airplanes. We talked about earlier, they fly private, but still they don't want to jump in there with a bunch of other people and risk bringing that home to their babies or not being able to be there with their pregnant wife while she's going through her pregnancy.
Sure. The only thing that's interesting about that to me is that they seem to be more willing to do that if they get all the money that they're supposed to get paid. And it just shows us again that the money talks in every situation. The players start saying all this stuff once the money starts getting taken away. And I get it. I get it. I wouldn't want to put myself out there for less than what I signed to be paid for anyway. But it's just interesting to me that the talks of all that stuff go away if you tell the players you get full prorated pay.
Yeah. And it's even funnier now that we've gotten to this point of everything to where we're at this stalemate, and now we're getting closer and closer to the inevitability of a forced season. And the excuses are rolled out. The owners are using COVID even as a likely excuse of, oh, well, the season will be canceled anyway. So we'll take expanded playoffs and all that stuff off the table for 2021, trying to take away shit that they've already once again agreed to.
What a shit show.
I mean, it is what it is. It's the DH is coming in the next CBA, whether we like it or not. I personally do like it. I don't like that it gives JD Martinez so many additional options to go in free agency because he can opt out at the end of his season this year. So if he can go to the National League as a DH, I mean, his chances go from 15 to 30,
Right. Yep.
That sucks, but you know what? I think the Red Sox are going to do just fine building around Xander and Devers in the future anyway.
Yeah, I think it'll open up a lot of things for a lot of players and a lot of teams that, like in the National League, you have to factor in that your pitcher is going to go out there and basically get an out for you.
Yeah, not many guys go out there and slug home runs from the pitching position, so it will be interesting to see how the game changes whenever you have another solid bat. Because there are several players in the National League that fit the mold of a typical DH, but they have to play a position because the bat's needed in the lineup. So we have to use your subpar glove somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, guys like McGuire, he was a decent first baseman, but he was known for his bat.
Yeah, he would have been an amazing DH.
Right. He would have been perfect as just a guy to go up every 2-3 innings and swing the bat.
Yep, I agree. Before we get too far into the weeds, I'd like to bring it back to NFL real quick.
Circle back.
We've got some sad news. I didn't necessarily know this player to begin with, but nonetheless, Max Turk, who is a former Charger and USC center, died recently at the age of 26, which is insanely young. It's 2 years younger than me. And there's our buddy Justin.
What's going on, guys?
Not a whole lot. So anyway, yeah. So he passed away recently, and the story is that he was on a hike with his family, and that's all the details we have. I've got a clip of the 2016 draft when the Chargers selected him. And there's some key things that are in here that I want to talk about after I play it here.
I feel like Zach has his tinfoil cap on or something.
Oh, yeah.
Just audio.
With the 66th pick in the 2016 NFL draft, the San Diego Chargers select Max Turk, center, USC.
6'5", 298. By the way, weight is a problem. He's got to keep his weight up. He was playing in the high 270s, low 280s last year.
Now, if you couldn't catch what he just said, he said that he needs to keep his weight up. He was playing in the 270s. And on my screen, it says his weight there is 298. What's a great way to get your weight up?
Eat.
Get on the juice.
That too.
My mind immediately, when I heard that a 26-year-old former NFL player died on a hike, went, his heart was probably damaged from steroid use, and he probably suffered some sort of heart attack during this strenuous hike. That's immediately where my mind went. And man, this really sucks, because for a young kid to die like that, and for the NFL to have basically a non-existent steroid program, like you get tested once a year, as long as you don't pop on shit, they leave you alone. And for this shit to happen to a young kid like that is terrible to me. And I think it's probably more prominent than we think. I think a lot of guys like that are making the jump from college to the big leagues have to gain a lot more weight, because the competition is so tough. And if you're a center or an offensive lineman, your size is everything. And he decided most likely to take some sort of supplement, steroid or whatever, to gain that weight. And honestly, in my mind, I don't see any other scenario where a 26-year-old former NFL player died on a hike from what seems to be natural causes. He never overdosed. He didn't have he didn't kill himself or anything like that. So it's just a terrible story, in my opinion.
I mean, if that is the case, then it certainly is terrible, but it could be something as simple as hydration. He could have just not been hydrated, gone out there and had a heat stroke. So let's wait for the autopsy to come back before we really cast judgment on anything or anybody on the wrongdoings there, because I certainly don't want to disrespect. I can't recall the name that you said.
Max Turk.
I don't want to disrespect him by insinuating or implying that he was on the juice or anything like that, because, you know, these NFL bigwigs tend to listen into our show, and I don't want the Chargers to think that we were talking shit about their training programs.
Right. Well, just wait for Sports Center tomorrow night to ask the question whether or not he did that or not. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I agree. Anything could happen. It could have been anything, but it's just it's insanely suspect to me that a young kid would just up and die on a hike. I mean,
sure, it's not likely. I'll give you that, but
yeah,
I guess stranger things have happened,
especially from a guy who had to maintain a certain weight. He had to get bigger. The easy route is to do that. And I don't think that's a fault of his. I think that's just pressure from the sport that he was in.
Sure. Well, Justin, you joined us late, buddy. What's been going on with you, man?
Man, just we've had a kind of shorthanded at the gym here recently. So, and as I've talked to you guys in the past, one of our coaches just had a baby. So, on top of that, we're just trying to keep the gym running. I had them sparring today, and I flew out, and I apologize. Mondays are the worst days for me right now. So once all this ends over the next week or so, it should be better. But right now, I'm just kind of been in a pickle trying to get here in time. But I will be here Friday for sure.
Yeah, life.
Yeah, man. Like you've had a lot fall on your plate with the gym and all that stuff. So we understand. We're just docking your pay a little bit at a time. No problem.
Yep.
Yeah, you can have it.
But let's see, Zach, we were talking a little bit about baseball, and before we wrap up for the night, I do feel like we have to mention that it seems like the A-Rod and J-Lo rumors are getting pretty serious about them buying the Mets.
Interesting.
That would be crazy.
And I heard that Mr. David Portnoy, El Prez, is in their ownership group as one of the investors.
Wow.
So can you imagine the access that Barstool would have to the Mets if Portnoy was part owner?
That'd be sweet. They'd become a fan favorite real quick.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, they've got talent. They've got Pete Alonso. They have DeGrom.
Their pitching staff is sick.
Unreal.
With DeGrom, Syndergaard, and Stroman.
Unreal.
And then they added Porcello on there as well. Shit.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, like you said, if they have some sort of well-known celebrity, especially in the world of baseball, like Alex Rodriguez and the international celebrity that J-Lo is, you could definitely see them coming up because they've always been in the shadow of the Yankees.
Yeah, and that's what's funny is it's a former Yankee player and Jenny from the Bronx, right?
Yeah, that is funny.
I'll tell you the big difference. They tried this in Miami where they had all kinds of celebrities come in and be part owner of a team. But the difference
Jeter's
here,
one of them.
yeah, the difference here that you've actually got somebody that's played that sport, and you've got people basically that know the sport, like Portnoy and Barstool. I think it'll work out better than the Dolphins. They just let whoever had money kind of jump in on the bandwagon.
Okay, you said Miami. I thought you were talking Marlins.
No,
because
the Dolphins.
The Marlins did the same thing, but Derek Jeter was in that ownership group.
Yep.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking them, and then you said the Dolphins.
No, he doesn't know shit about baseball.
Yeah, that's right. Except for random guys that catch significant home runs, apparently.
Man, you know why I knew who that was? Well, besides not the home run guy, but you know how you guys were having that episode when you was talking about the guy that went like 0 for 300 or something crazy?
Yeah.
The reason I knew that is my T-ball team was the Orioles, which is who he played for. So I actually knew that player. I didn't look it up. I actually had that in here. Yeah.
That's funny.
That doesn't happen with baseball too much for you, does it?
No, not often.
It'll be interesting to see how Portnoy is if that deal does come through, because he's obviously an avid Red Sox fan. And I feel like being an owner of another team, it would be weird to kind of talk highly of another team, but it is American League and National League, so maybe it wouldn't be too crazy.
He'll have to go all Mets.
And Portnoy's at a point in his career at Barstool, if you will, to where he doesn't have to go on podcast. He doesn't have to do public appearances and stuff. He's got legions of staff under him that do all of this stuff for him now.
Oh yeah.
He can go and be an owner and focus on the Mets and not even have to worry about it conflicting with his love of the Red Sox or whatever.
Definitely.
Do y'all follow his day trading?
No. Portnoy? No. I follow his pizza reviews.
Yeah, his pizza reviews are cool. His day trading is like getting attention by like the New York Stock Exchange because he's now making $1 million a day, almost every day. And they're saying because he has such a huge following that he could basically buy any stock. And so many people will buy that stock that he could take the worst stock ever and make money on it. And so he's been like making like big strides. Like he's making millions right now.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
that is crazy. Portnoy and Elon are making millions in the pandemic.
Yeah.
You heard about him and Goddell though, didn't you?
Oh, about the canceling of the invite.
Yeah, that's funny as hell.
Ooh,
that was coming.
Yeah, we talked about it when it happened that it didn't seem like it would be a thing that Goodell would want.
No.
But it was definitely something that Portnoy wanted.
No, he was mad. He had a whole vlog about it, how pissed off he was and how he paid all that money out and he did it the right way. And now Goddell, he caught him some choice words, but
have they said what they're going to do now? Or are they just going to scrap that, or are they going to pick somebody else?
They'll have to give him his money back. I would suspect, but I don't know.
I think in his rant, Justin, he did say that they refunded his money and that the NFL was going to take the amount that he paid to win that prize or whatever and donate that amount of money split among different charities or whatever, which is pretty much just a bullshit cop out.
Right. They took the bitch way out. I think if they would have capitalized on it and done some sort of event, because Portnoy was going to try to film the whole thing or tweet the whole time he was there.
Oh yeah.
So just try to capitalize on it. I mean, it's free publicity. You get the entire Barstool community who are already watching NFL to tune into this stupid sit with Roger Goodell thing in his basement.
Right. Is show off a personality and a side of the NFL commissioner that we don't normally see.
Right. Because they definitely didn't do that for their once in a lifetime draft where he stood there with his hands in his pockets and looked like an awkward idiot saying the draft picks. They missed out on that too.
He could have definitely showed a personality. He should have acted like friggin' Mr. Rogers in there.
Anything.
Won't you be my neighbor?
Could have lit a cigar, poured a glass of scotch.
Yeah, anything. Sit there and pour your 30-year Macallan.
Yeah, that was a completely missed opportunity, and I think this was too.
NFL, full of them, full of missed opportunities. Justin, we talked earlier about the NFL quite a bit. Do you have any thoughts about anything going on in the football or anything? Wrestling?
Oh man, I'm just, to be honest with you, I don't want to talk about it and bring it into existence.
What do you think? What are the odds of us having an NFL season?
Right now, I would say 50-50. I think it could go either way. It depends. I mean, we were doing good, and then all these riots and all this protest, and we got millions of people all side by side, basically screaming beside each other.
Yep. And now the states are breaking records for the number of coronavirus cases.
Yeah.
I don't think this is going to slow down. I think if any time this virus was going to slow down, it was this summer, and it hasn't.
No.
And I think it's just going to ramp up come the start of the NFL season.
And we've already paid out vacation. We might not be able to do nothing, but we've already paid out thousands of dollars that I cannot get back because this is coming back. They're thinking about shutting down restaurants and all that stuff again. So I might be paying all this money just to basically sit and look at the ocean. Like, can't do anything. But I guess it could be worse.
Yeah. I'm just interested to see what the breaking point is for the NFL, because I don't know. I don't know. I think all of the leagues in March were kind of pressured to just stop it all.
Yeah, I don't think they need the fans as much as baseball and some of the other sports. So,
they definitely make a shit ton of money off of those tickets.
Yeah, they can find ways, advertisements and other ways to make that money.
Yeah, they definitely do a better job of advertising than MLB.
I think overall, NFL puts on a better TV product than the other sports. And I think that's contributed to their success.
Yes.
NFL and college. College puts on one of the best, but unfortunately, all that money goes to the greedy, NCAA. Nobody sees that money.
Right.
Yeah. And they're looking like they're going to play regardless, because if the kids are at school, they're going to be on the field.
Right.
I could deal with that. If they would give us one, I could deal with college football. I mean, it would suck to not have the NFL, but that would be better than nothing. So
I think I would be more upset that they're making those kids go out there and play, probably a lot of them against their will.
With no paycheck.
Mm-hmm. While the
NFL is off. I would have an issue with that.
Yeah. I worked this Saturday, and driving around, I noticed that damn near every baseball field I saw had little leaguers playing full games. And I just thought, how in the hell can these kids who aren't paying for anything other than just the fun of it, able to figure it out? And millionaires can't figure it out because they don't want to pay, or they want to get paid, or whatever the deal is. And there's this stalemate. Meanwhile, the little guys have figured it out. It blows my mind.
They played I got friends that have kids that play baseball. They played 12, 13, 14 hours all weekend. Like, they stay at the field all day, every day. So, I mean, I don't think there's very many precautions in place. I mean, I know they probably sit further apart than they normally would, but you still got them in the dugout. You still got them doing all the stuff that, like you said, these major league teams are not doing. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I guess whenever you're investing millions of dollars into people, you have a little bit of control over when they can and can't play.
Yeah, absolutely. And
these kids are paying to play, so their parents are going to be supportive and encouraging of them getting their money's worth.
Yeah, definitely.
Allison just said it, fun versus money.
Yeah, It just sucks. It sucks that they can't figure it out. I mean, who knows all the resources that they have where they could sanitize and do whatever they need to do to try to keep everyone safe. But that's not even the hang up. The hang up is we want to pay, or we want to get paid, and we don't want to pay you.
Yep. Oh well.
Yeah.
They're only killing a sport.
Seriously. Yeah. They're only just gutting an entire sport.
We talked about this last time a little bit. If the NFL goes away for a year, it comes back in just as good a shape. MLB going away from a year, it's not going to be the same.
I would argue that the NFL coming back after a year hiatus would be amazing for the sport because people would be so hungry to see it.
Yeah,
you're right. It could be the final nail in a coffin for Major League Baseball.
Yeah. If tomorrow the MLB came out and said, we're never going to play another MLB game ever again, people would be like, okay. But if tomorrow the NFL says, guys, just out of precaution, we're going to suspend until 2022, people would lose their fucking minds.
Yeah, they'd be riots and shit. Yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing the difference in the two.
Yep.
And the reaction and the perception from everybody. Anyway, you guys got anything else you want to add this week?
I'm good.
I'm excited about skate.
Oh, fuck.
I know, man. That's so exciting. Skate 4 is coming out. Holy crap.
I really wonder what the pressure was to make that happen.
As soon as Tony Hawk announced that that remake of 1 and 2, they were like, oh shit, that means he's probably going to do a 3 and 4 or something like that.
Yeah.
So,
and I think EA saw that people were extremely excited for it, and they said, oh shit,
we can make money off of this,
guys. Yeah. Better late than never.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for it. I'm excited that it'll be a new gen thing too. So it might be one of those really good games to get on the next gen platform instead of a last holdover for this one. Because you know how there are always those games that's like, you could play it on either one and it won't matter.
Right.
I kind of want to see the skating in the most high def graphics possible.
Yeah. And I hope they don't just call it in,
I know.
That's what I'm afraid of. Coming from EA, they've been calling it in for Madden for fucking 10 years now. I really hope that they put some development in this skate game.
That would be great. That'll definitely be one that you can stream for a while. And
yeah, absolutely.
How's that going for you? The live streaming?
Yeah, I wasn't able to do it this weekend. We were super busy. I might do it in the week this week because we've got friends coming in this weekend, so I'll probably be tied up this weekend again too. But look forward to doing it either way.
Yeah, I look forward to checking it out, and I know several of the listeners have commented and said that they're interested in doing that. Speaking of some of the listeners, I have one final thing. Listener reached out to me named Ryan, and he said, I've heard you talk for the past 2 or 3 weeks and up to this point in this episode about the places where Kaepernick could go, but he wanted to know my thoughts about Kaepernick going to the Patriots. And I haven't talked about it because honestly, it just doesn't make sense. First of all, thank you for the question. Thank you for reaching out and sharing your thoughts or whatever, Ryan. But it doesn't make sense because right now the New England Patriots are 3rd in dead cap space going into the 2020 season. They are still paying Tom Brady $13.5 million. That's a lot of money to be paying a guy that plays for another team. Years of team-friendly deals with Tom Brady have done that to him, to the Patriots. So it is what it is. XFL commissioner Oliver Luck tried to sign Kaepernick, and he said for the XFL, he wanted $20 million to play. So if that's the going rate for Kaepernick, that doesn't even remotely fit into the Patriots budget. Finances just don't work. That's why I haven't said Kaepernick is a good fit in New England. It's not for any other reason other than that. It just doesn't work financially. The places that I have proposed that he could go, it also makes sense for him to be there financially.
Yeah, because they're not paying nobody too much money. Yeah, I see that. And I think Belichick is in some sort of rebuild. I mean, they've gone basically all in on Jared Stidham. If you're going to do that, why would you bring in a guy who hasn't played for a few years? I don't see it either. I think if the Patriots were going to pick him up, they would have done it. I mean, they jumped on Antonio Brown when it wasn't popular to do so. So I don't think they're scared to pick up whoever they want. I just don't think it fits.
And if they could work their magic and figure it out somehow, I would be all for it. I would be all for bringing him on.
Yeah. I mean, say Stidham is their guy. What better secondary is Kaepernick to have just in case he gets hurt or it doesn't work out or whatever? You can plug him in. That's not a bad plan.
I mean, he's a guy that in a good system led a team to a Super Bowl, and then the very next year led them to a conference championship.
Mm-hmm.
He, with a good team, Kaepernick can win. Bill Belichick can build a good team, but he just doesn't fit financially.
Yeah.
So that's all there is to it. Guys, thank you for listening. I've had a good time tonight. It was fun running it as a 2-man show and then seeing Justin pop in there later. Thanks for everybody that's been watching. Thanks for all the comments. It's always fun to see you guys jumping in there. And we'll be back later this week on Friday night. We have a very special episode with our good friend Danny Limelight coming on to talk about one of his new short film projects called 207. It's going to be pretty cool to have him on to talk about that. I know it's going to be kind of a deep, dark conversation for us. It's not going to be sports or anything like that. 207 is actually the police code for kidnapping. And if you have children or anything like that and have ever had that thought of, oh shit, my child just got abducted, we're going to be talking about some heavy stuff like that. So stick around, stay tuned. Friday night, we'll be talking about that. And then of course, next Monday, we'll be back for episode number 99. And until then, this is the Nest Podcast signing off. Peace.
Thanks for listening. New episodes are recorded every week.